Yeah, what's happening with it? What's good with it? Y'all already know what it is. You tuned in to another episode of Everything Boxing. There you go, talking that boxing again. Yeah, Crush the Legend in the building. What's happening with it? Salute. My man Daryl Deloach in the building. Chef Boy ID. What's happening with it? Yeah, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. And we gonna, you know what I'm saying? We gonna start this thing off just like we finished it, with a bang. I mean, we gonna finish this thing off just like we started, with a bang. So when you come in the building, make sure that you smash on that like button and then jump in the comments and let me know you're in the building. Yeah, it do kind of sound like a Pimp C beat. Yeah, it sure do. You ain't lying. A17 Boxing B, what's happening with it? Salute. What's good with it, 817? Yeah, like I said, we gonna cook. It ain't gonna be no long show today, so we gonna get in here. We gonna talk about what we gotta talk about, and then we gonna get gone. Cause I know I got shit to do. Y'all probably got shit to do, so it is what it is. But we're gonna talk about the whole year of 2021 and what's next to come in 2022. So, like I said, hit my like button when you come in the building, and let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's talk about it. Yes, sir. So it was a whole lot. It was a whole lot that went on in 2021. Overall, I think we had a pretty good year of boxing. It was we didn't, a lot of the fights we didn't get what we wanted to see. Like, I mean, myself personally, I wanted to see Tank Davis against one of the big names. Excuse me, we didn't get to see that. What we did get to see is we did get to see Devin Haney prove that he is what we think he is, with that performance that he put on with Joseph Diaz. You feel me? And Jorge Linares. But I can't remember if Linares was in. I think that was in 2021 too. So we got to see, a lot of what we wanted to see from Devin Haney. Still Tank Davis. We still ain't got to see Tank Davis fight a top name opponent. You know what I'm saying? We didn't get to see Gary Russell back in the ring in 2021, but a lot of the things that we wanted, we did get to see. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see, EJ. We didn't get to see Errol Spence return to the ring in 2021. But we finally got to see Terrence Crawford. We finally got to see Terrence Crawford in there with a top level welterweight, a top A level welterweight. We got to see that, and that was like, shit. I like, hold on, man, these damn notifications. Yeah, what the hell? Hold on, y'all. Okay, yeah. So anyway, yeah, so we got to see that, and that was that I ain't gonna lie, that surprised a whole lot of people the way he closed the show on Sean Porter. The boxing matchups with Dwayne Freeman, coach in the building. What's happening with it, Coach D Walker? So one of the things, like I said, that surprised me is the way that Terrence Crawford came through in the clutch. And we got to give it to Terrence Crawford. And that was, to me, that was one of the highlights of 2021. You heard the corner telling Terrence Crawford, "Hey man, you losing the fight. Hey bud, you losing this fight. Like, you got to pick it up." He looked, "I'm losing? For real? I'm losing? I bet I got you." And we seen that man go out there and turn the fuck up. Like I said, I don't agree with that bullshit his daddy did. Me knowing Sean Porter, I think that Sean Porter would have been able to finish out the fight. But hey, you still got to give it to Bud for going out there, and turning it up in the clutch when they told him he had to turn it up. So that was a highlight of 2021. We had several highlights of 2021, right? We had several highlights of 2021. We saw Anthony Joshua. A lot of people felt that Anthony Joshua was a whole lot of hype, right? A lot of people felt that Anthony Joshua just had a whole lot of hype behind him. And we got to see that. We got to see Anthony Joshua get outclassed, outboxed, and almost knocked out by Usyk. That shit surprised me. I didn't think Usyk was going to be able to move up from cruiserweight and do what he did to a real heavyweight in Anthony Joshua. Nick Silvio, what's happening with it? So that was a hell of a surprise and a shocker that happened. And we got to see, prospects rise, come up, rise to the top, like big baby Jared Anderson, right? Time and time again, giving us devastating performance and devastating knockouts. You dig what I'm saying? We got to see that. On the men's side, what else did we get to see on the men's side? We saw a shocker in Teofimo Lopez getting upset by George Kambosos Jr. with really hardly nobody. Now, Coach picked it, but it was a very, very few people that picked Teofimo Lopez to get, outclassed and to get his ass beat by George Kambosos. We got to see shockers like that. You dig what I'm saying? There was a lot of shit, and I haven't even got to the women yet. I ain't even got to the women yet because, in my personal opinion, the women took over. In my personal opinion, I think that the women, they took over and they took it to a whole nother level. You dig what I'm saying? To me, the women took over boxing in 2021. Quiet is kept. We don't talk about it a lot, but we got to give these women their flowers. We have to give these women their roses because they rose to a new occasion in 2021, and they really showed out. The women did. And we're going to get on the women in a minute. But then we finally got to see, after waiting over a year, we finally got to see the trilogy between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. And although it didn't give me the outcome that I wanted, it lived up to expectations and more. Excitement is what we live to see in boxing. In Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, we got that. You know what I'm saying? We got that and some. When's the last time you could think of a heavyweight fight that brought us the excitement that Tyson Fury and Wilder brought us? I'll tell you like this, we ain't seen it we haven't seen this in years. In years and years. So yeah, we had a lot. We did, like I said, some things we didn't get. We still ain't got the Crawford and Spence, but we had a lot go on in 2021. And coming from a down year of 2020, where we was in the pandemic, a lot of these fighters were sitting on the shelf, and we didn't get to see them fight. 2021 really delivered. You know what I'm saying? We had cool boy Steph Fulton against Brandon Figueroa. Man, that was a hell of a fight. I'm talking about they went bell to bell and they got it on. What a hell of a fight. And y'all smash the like button. If you can't do nothing, you know what I'm saying? Smash my like button. Hell of a fight. So yeah, 2021 really delivered in my eyes. I'm looking forward to 2022. 2022 will be a failure if we don't get fights like Terrence Crawford versus Errol the True Spence. So we looking forward to a big 2022. You feel me? But 2021, man, it came through and it showed out. And like I said, we haven't even got to the women's yet. We ain't even got into the queens of the boxing because I think they really took over in 2021. But what else did we get? What else? We got Jamel Charlo versus Brian Castano, for undisputed. That shit ended in a draw, and it should have ended in a draw. We got that hell of a fight. And it was so many great fights. We got, what else was a great fight? Y'all put some great fights that I haven't mentioned because I'm missing a whole lot of them. We got to see, Canelo, he ran through the whole 168-pound division. Whether you like him or you don't, he ended it with a bang by beating Caleb Plant, the type of fighter that people said that he couldn't beat. He went out there and he stopped him. And he pretty much, he ran through everybody at 168 pounds. He became king. He put, 75,000 fans in Dallas Cowboys Stadium against Billy Joe. Like, come on. Knockout boxing, Chocolatito Estrada. They gave us a fight for the ages. These are the type of fights that you're going to remember, 20, 30 years down the line. Chocolatito versus Estrada was a hell of a fight. Mr. Pads, I did see that Ted Cheeseman fight. The Ted Cheeseman versus, it was a bloodbath. It was Ted, Mr. Pads. Who did he fight? I remember that fight. I just can't remember the opponent. That was a bloodbath. Steven Rivas, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the love and support, man. But yeah, 2021, it delivered in multiple ways. We got Yordenis Ugas coming in on short notice, pulling the upset on Manny Pacquiao and taking his career to all new heights. What about that? You know what I'm saying? What about that? And like I said, fights like Brandon Figueroa versus Cool Boy Steph. You got a whole lot of people that think Cool Boy Steph won it clearly. You got other people that think Brandon Figueroa won it. And they just gave us a hell of a fight at the end of the day. Yeah, Nick Silvio, it was a very few people that thought Ugas was going to beat Pacquiao, I myself thought that Ugas would be able to beat Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was a good chance for him to be able to pull off that upset, but I didn't think that he was going to be able to do it because I didn't think that he was going to be able to get a decision. Pacquiao is a big name in boxing. I didn't think that Ugas was going to be able to get a decision over Pacquiao. You feel me? But hey, he pulled it out in such clear fashion that he was able to get a decision. Shakur Stevenson, right? He came out after, a shutout, but people thought it was a lackluster performance, against the African that Shakur Stevenson fought. You dig? He came out and he apologized to the fans. And he said, next time I come out, I'm putting on the fucking show. He said, I apologize. I did what I had to do to get a shutout and win every round. But y'all thought it was boring? I bet. I'm going to come back and I'm really going to show out. And Shakur Stevenson came back, jumped in the ring with Jamel Herring, who was the champion. And Shakur Stevenson showed the fuck out. He beat the dog shit out of Jamel Herring every round. And then he stopped him. And nobody was expected. It was very few people that was expected Jamel Herring to get stopped by Shakur Stevenson. You feel me? That was a hell of a fight. He showed the fuck out. And Shakur Stevenson, to me, he showed what everybody was doubting. I knew. See, I think that Shakur Stevenson when you talk about all of the young fighters, whether they prospects or they up and coming on the horizon superstars, I think Shakur Stevenson is that dude. It ain't nobody, not one fighter that I'll put above Shakur Stevenson. You name them, they got to go under Shakur Stevenson to me. That's my opinion. And so he showed out. He came up and he showed out. Shakur Stevenson, man, he did that. Yes, Steven Rivas. I talked about Charlo versus Castano. Hell of a fight. A fight that people were split down the middle, split 50-50. Some people think Castano should have won. Some think that Charlo should have won. I'm in the middle. I thought it was a draw. I thought the fight was really a draw. You could have had one fighter winning by one round either way, but that type of fight deserved a draw. You know, a nip and tuck fight all the way to the finish. Hell of a fight. But I'm going to open up the phone lines, right? And the first topic is fight of the year. I'm going to open up the phone lines and you can call in. Real quick, call in, give me your fight of the year, and then we're going to move to the next caller. So let me open up the phone lines for y'all. Give me your call in, give me your fight of the year, give me the reason that you have it the fight of the year, and then we're going to get to the next caller, and we're going to move along like that. So the call-in number is on the screen. The call-in number is on the screen. And like I said, you feel free to call in and give me your fight of the year. So anybody want to call in and give me your fight of the year. Let's see. Steven Rivas said he had a draw also. Yeah, that was a draw. I had a draw in that fight. Okay, I guess ain't nobody gonna call in. I guess ain't nobody fucking with me today. So shit, we gonna go ahead and keep on going. We gonna keep it moving. If y'all ain't gonna call in. So my fight of the year personally, you know, my fight of the year, I'm gonna have to go with Wilder versus Fury because because and my reason is because this high stakes. You gotta fight a trilogy, right? You got these dudes been having beef for like 3 years. You know what I'm saying? When did it start? 2018 was the first fight, I believe. So these guys been having beef since 3 years, right? And then we wait over a year to get the third fight. We wait over a year to get the third fight. And we get the third fight. And hey, I'm talking about I was there. The atmosphere was crazy. The building was packed, the high stakes, you know, and then you got what? You had what? 4 or 5 knockdowns in that fight, and it ended in the vicious knockout in the heavyweight division, hard hitting like Rocky Balboa. Like, yeah, you can't, you know what I'm saying? Like that shit took the cake for me. You know what I'm saying? That was my fight of the year. Yeah, knockout Taylor Ramirez. I forgot. We had Undisputed with Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez. Another hell of a fight. Another hell of a fight with all of the gold on the line. And Josh Taylor came out and he showed that he's just at another level. You know what I'm saying? Josh Taylor came through and he showed he's at another level. A great fight. They went at it from the time the bell rang. And it was a nip and tuck fight, but a hell of a fight. But yeah, I'm going to have to go with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury was my fight of the year. It gave you excitement. Throughout the whole fight, you knew somebody was going to go. You just didn't know who it was going to be. You know, even though Wilder was down, you knew that all he had to do was land one shot and Fury was going to go night-night. You knew that Wilder was damn near, you know what I'm saying, dead in the ring, but he was still holding on somehow and still just fighting on pure hard. Bloody, battered, bruised, and he was still coming. Yeah, and like I said, I picked that fight as my fight of the year just because of the simple fact of the stakes. You know what I'm saying? What was at stake. And the whole world is watching because this is heavyweights. You know, high drama, great atmosphere. And like I said, just like the beef that was behind, you know what I'm saying, the whole cheating thing with Tyson Fury, and these guys really hated each other. It was really, really true bad blood to where if they saw each other outside the boxing ring in the streets, the whole camps would have been brawling. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't nothing fake about that beef with Wilder and Fury. So yeah, that was my fight of the year. And so I'm gonna leave it right there, and then I'm gonna go back, you know, to prospect of the year and everything. But let's talk about the women. Let's talk about the women. You know what I'm saying? We talking about fights of the year. The women, arguably, they could have had these women. They could have had the fight of the year out of everybody, arguably. Let's go through what the women in boxing did in 2021. You know what I'm saying? The women of boxing, they showed out. We had Clarissa Shields coming, what? 2-time undisputed. We had, let me say it again, we had Clarissa Shields becoming 2-time undisputed. We also had Clarissa Shields going to PFL, the MMA, going to MMA, main event, her own MMA card. Right. Who else is doing shit like that? And getting her first win in MMA. Getting a win in her first bout in MMA. Clarissa Shields coming from being basically almost tapped out. Being down and out. And coming out and getting a finish in MMA. In her first ever MMA bout. After becoming 2-time undisputed in 2 different weight classes. Come on now. Like the women of boxing, they did shit that has never been done before. You know what I'm saying? Clarissa Shields. Who can top that? Who can top what Clarissa Shields did in 2021? Then you got, right? I'm talking about in all the boxing. Let's talk about Michaela Mayer versus Maiva Hamadouche. If y'all didn't see that Michaela Mayer versus Hamadouche fight, that shit, that right there, you could say that was the fight of the year in men's or women's boxing. They went at it. Michaela Mayer versus Hamadouche, they fucking went at it. I'm talking about it was a slugfest. They did not stop throwing boxing. They did not stop throwing leather from the time the first bell rang to the time the fight ended. Michaela Mayer and Hamadouche, they showed the fuck out. And if anybody say, hey, Keith, you know, I get you what you said about Fury versus Wilder, but I think that was my fight of the year. I couldn't argue with him. That was a hell of a fight. Hell of a fight. So, you know, yeah, Bo, man, I was disappointed in that boxing game didn't come out. That shit been delayed like 2 years now. I don't know if that boxing game ever gonna come out. And that shows you how the politics of boxing is. Just that ESBC boxing game. How they having to delay that boxing game. And we know why they having to delay it. Because it's too hard to get all these fighters on board. They got to get all of these fighters individually licensed, right? And agreed to be put on the game, and it's hard. The politics of boxing, once again. That's why we can't get no boxing game. No real one. But yeah, back to Michaela Mayer and Hamadou. That, like, they showed out. They took women's boxing to a whole nother level with that fight. The action that was in that fight and just the activity. Neither woman stopped throwing punches the whole fight. So we got to give them they roses. Like I said, we got to give them they roses. Let's go to the knockout of the year. Let's talk about the knockout of the year, because I'm giving my knockout of the year to Alicia Baumgardner. When you hit a woman with some shit and they whole body just freeze up in time, Terry Harper whole body just froze up like this. She had her hand up and her shit just froze. She ain't even. I'm talking about. She froze standing up. When you ever seen somebody get froze standing up? We've seen devastating knockouts too, where somebody hit the canvas face first, like Tyron Woodley. But this woman just froze up. Her whole body locked up and she was standing up. Come on now. When you seen some shit like that? Yeah, Anthony Durrell had a great KO, but when have you seen somebody whole body just freeze up, right? I'm talking about in mid action, she got hit with some shit and her whole body just froze up. Bam! Somebody just hit the pause button on her. And standing straight up. Somebody hit the pause button on Terry Harper standing straight up. Her whole body just froze. You know what I'm saying? Whole body just froze. Like she stepped into negative 100 degree weather. I mean, negative 100 degree weather. It was that fucking cold and that fucking ice just hit her body and just froze her. She was gone. Whole body locked out. Alicia Baumgardner, right? Yeah, she was a boxing social salute. Yeah, she was a standing zombie. We ain't never seen a standing zombie in boxing before. Her brain just shut off, but she was still standing. That shit for me did it. That shit for me right there, Alicia Baumgardner, her fine ass, she did it for me. You know what I'm saying? And then let's go to what woman came on the horizon that, you know what I'm saying, really, you know what I'm saying, really came on the horizon. And I have to say, Senicia Estrada. Senicia Estrada, she came through in 2021 and she showed the fuck out. Senicia Estrada came through. To me, Senicia Estrada was like the new woman on the horizon that I know she's been in boxing, but she really broke through in 2021. She gave us excitement, explosiveness, great knockouts, and she did it all. Senicia Estrada in 2021, she was like, she was the breakthrough women's fighter of 2021 to me. If you have a breakthrough women's fighter in 2021, she get that trophy. Senicia Estrada. And let's give Senicia Estrada her roses. You know, a lot of you niggas, y'all don't respect these women fighters. You know what I'm saying? A lot of you niggas, y'all don't respect women's boxing, and they gonna make you respect it because what they did in 2021, hey, they put on devastating, great performances, right? So I'm gonna give the breakthrough women's fighter of the year, Senicia Estrada. She put on, right? She showed up and she showed out. Now, let's talk about Amanda Serrano. Amanda Serrano, think about what she did in 2021. I'm talking about she co-main evented big pay-per-views. She got paid the highest of any woman ever in professional boxing. And on top of that, she gave us Fight of the Year type fights. In the fight between Amanda Serrano and Marion Gutierrez, Come on now. If y'all missed the Amanda Serrano versus Miriam Gutierrez fight, if y'all missed that, I don't know what to tell y'all. Estrada versus Miriam Gutierrez was a fucking bloodbath. And Estrada showed us why she is one. If you it's put with me, it's between her and Clarissa Shields. A+ and A++. Whoever you want to pick is between Amanda Serrano and Clarissa Shields. They the best women fighters in all of women's boxing. They the best women fighters in all of women's boxing. And Amanda Serrano got to show you on pay-per-view in front of hundreds of thousands of fans, right, what she's made of when she went in there against a man. She fought a man in Miriam Gutierrez, a man that had been taking male hormones for years and years, and she went in there in a tough fight. When you fight a man, it's going to be tough. But she went in there and beat the dog shit out of Miriam Gutierrez in one of my fights of the year. For me, that was one of the fights of the year for me. You know what I'm saying? Amanda Serrano showed the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? And it was a hell of a fight. Every moment of that fight was exciting. And so, yeah. And so, you know, Amanda Serrano went in there against a man and beat the shit out of a man. Who else is doing shit like that? You feel what I'm saying? So, yeah, that was a hell of a fight. Hell of a fight. I loved it. So, the women of boxing, really, to me, the women of boxing took over. Because nobody was watching women's boxing, right? If it wasn't Clarissa Shields prior to 2021, nobody really wanted to pay attention to women's boxing. I did, but the majority of fans, they wasn't watching women's boxing. But what the women did, they came through and they put on and they made you have to watch them. They made you have to talk about them. They kicked the door wide the fuck open in 2021. So let's, like I said, we got to give these women their flowers. So, you know, if y'all want to participate in the chat, let me get some of y'all's favorite, y'all best fights, you know, the most entertaining fights in 2021. Adonis K3 says Clarissa Shields put on for real because I wasn't watching until she popped up. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As far as women, the rest of these women, nobody was trying to pay attention to if they wasn't in the ring with Clarissa Shields. But the rest of these women, Clarissa Shields already had kicked the door down and opened it, right? And these other women, they came through and they showed out. And along with Clarissa Shields leading the way, they took women's boxing to a whole nother level. They made you talk about them. They made you want to watch them. And I think that in 2022, you know, women's boxing is going to go to a whole different level. Just like nobody at one point was paying attention to women's MMA. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was paying attention to, you know, women in MMA. And they had to do what these women in boxing are doing now. They kicked down the door. They was giving you more excitement than the men. And eventually we had to start watching women in MMA. And now you see women in MMA, they headlining mega pay-per-view cards. Women's boxing ain't there yet. And Clarissa Shields, she headlined her own pay-per-view. What other women is doing that? She bet on herself and headlined her own pay-per-view. So yeah, you know, women's boxing went to a whole different level in 2021. So and I know they ain't sending my notifications out today. You know what I'm saying? We can look at the numbers that's in here today. My notifications, they sure ain't sending my notifications out today. You know, there's some bullshit, but hey, it is what it is. Um, uh, so yeah, I mean, hold on, y'all. Yeah, yeah, 817. We need Savannah Marshall versus Clarissa Shields. We already know that we're gonna get Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. And then to top it off, we get Marshall versus Clarissa Shields. Hey, women might take over boxing in 2022 because those fights right there are mega fights. You could put those two fights right there up against any fight, any male fight in boxing. You could put those two women's fights up against any male fight. And then we probably going to get Michaela Mayer versus Alicia Baumgartner in 2022. They both got beef. They both been talking a whole lot of shit, to each other. So we ain't even talking about that. Michaela Mayer versus Alicia Baumgartner. That's the other fight, another mega fight in women's boxing that we might get in 2022. Come on now, talk to me. Mr. Pass says, who is boxing donkey of the year? He says, for me, Mauricio Suleiman, dude is very unprofessional, confuses fans all the time. Yeah, he's just a fucking crook. He's just a crook. I would say who's the biggest crooks in boxing? You know what I'm saying? I would say Mauricio Suleiman. You got to put motherfucking Leonard Ellaby up in there. You know what I'm saying? You got to put them in there. Yeah, they're my top two right there. Donkey, if you want to say, donkey, crook, whatever you want to call them, Mauricio Suleiman and Leonard Ellaby will be my top two. Right. Those are the top two for me. You got to throw Ryan Garcia in the donkey of the year conversation. If you're going to say donkey of the year, yeah, you got to throw Ryan Garcia in there. You got to put Teofimo Lopez in there because the way that he got embarrassed, the way that Teofimo Lopez got embarrassed, you got to put him in that donkey of the year conversation. All that shit he was talking about, he talked shit for damn near a whole year talking about what he was going to do and got his ass beat and then made a million excuses after that. Gloria Martinez, that judge, she one of them. But see, you don't hear too much of her, so she kind of under the radar. Mark Shu says, will Adrian Brunner bounce back in 2022? He might bounce back in life, but he ain't gonna bounce back in the boxing ring. That's for damn sure. But I hope he bounce back in life. You feel me? Salute to AB. I hope he bounce back in life, but I'll sit up here and be telling the lie if I told y'all that I believe in him, in his capabilities of bouncing back in the boxing ring. No, I don't. Not at all. I think Adrian Brunner is done. He can't. I mean, even when he was active, he couldn't beat He couldn't beat nobody over a C+ level. Let's keep it 100. Even when Adrian Brunner was active, ever since he moved up to like 147, 140, he couldn't beat nobody above a C+ level. So what make y'all think he gonna bounce back in 2022 and be the top name if he step in there with Conor Benn or somebody like that? It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. We have to be realistic when we talk about a lot of these things. It's just not gonna happen. Pac-Man, what's happening with it, Tay? Salute, Tay. So yeah, it was a lot that went on. Let's talk about the prospects of the year. Let's talk about the prospects that showed out in 2021. To me, I would have to say my prospect of the year, because we had Xander Zayas, we had Big Baby Jared Anderson, we had my man um what's his name? My man that run with Shakur Stevenson from the Olympics. They got the silver medal in the Olympics. Keyshawn Davis. We had Keyshawn Davis. We had what's the dude that kind of remind me of AB? He fight on the zone. What's the little dude that fight? Raymond Ford. We had Raymond Ford. We had who else we had? Prospects. It had a lot of prospects. We had I named Jared Anderson already. Who else we had? We had Keyshawn Davis, Jared Anderson. Pac-Man, I don't really consider Montana Love a prospect. I consider Montana Love he's in the contender. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's a champion. Montana Love a champion, so he ain't no prospect. But when I'm talking about prospect, I'm talking about these up-and-coming guys, these up-and-coming young fighters that haven't had a chance to get a title shot. They haven't got there yet. I mean, Antoine Russell, he should have been, right? So this is my thing, Coach. Antoine Russell should be probably he could have been the prospect of the year, but he only had one fight. So I can't really put him in that because they didn't put him on display. He only had one fight. Frank Martin, yeah, he's a hell of a prospect. So I want to put Antoine Russell there, but he wasn't fighting. He only had, and the one fight that he did have, he showed out. He showed the fuck out. But I can't really put him in there, you know. David Morrell, yeah, Coach. David Morrell was another one. Pac-Man say Jose Venezuela. Yeah, 817. I named Xander Zayas. Yeah. Keyshawn Davis. Now, Keyshawn Davis, I'm not going to pick him as my prospect of the year. He's one of them, but I can't pick him because, well, you could because no, that was in 2020. So in 2020, he put in work, but 2021, he was in the Olympics. So I only think he only had like one fight professionally in 2021. So I can't put him as my prospect of the year. My prospect of the year, right? I'm gonna tell y'all who my prospect of the year is Big Baby Jared Anderson. Big Baby Jared Anderson, he stayed up in our face over and over again. He was on big undercards over and over again, and every time we saw Big Baby Jared Anderson, he showed the fuck out. Every time we saw Big Baby Jared Anderson, he showed the fuck out. Jose Venezuela. Yeah, man, that kid is a problem, Pac-Man. Yeah, Shamar Serrano, the business. She on a different level with Clarissa Shields. But yeah, we got to give it to me. You got to give it to Big Baby Jared Anderson. And salute to my man. Salute to the family Shamar in the building. You got to give it to Big Baby Jared Anderson if you ask me. He showed the fuck out all 2021. He showed out 2020 and he came in 2021 and he pressed the gas even more. All devastating knockouts by Big Baby Jared Anderson in the heavyweight division. Oh yeah, Boots is a contender. Boots is not a prospect. Boots was a prospect years ago. Boots got 28 fights, so he definitely ain't no prospect. Mike Rhymes, salute to you. Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's to everybody. And y'all hit my like button. If you ain't hit my like button, you know, if you can't support the channel in no other way, hit the like button. It's free. Don't cost you nothing to hit the like button. Conor Ben ain't no prospect neither. Conor Ben is a contender. He's a top level contender. He just ain't got his chance at a legit real belt yet. But Xander Zayas, to me, prospect of the year, to me, it was between Xander Zayas and Big Baby Jared Anderson, but I got to give it to Jared Anderson. Let me get y'all prospects of the year in the comments. Before I move on, let me get y'all prospects of the year in the comments. Who is the young up-and-coming fighter, hungry up-and-coming prospect that y'all think showed out the best in 2021? Anybody? Let me get y'all comments. Ball says Frank Martin. But see, we can't complain about Frank. We can't complain about Top Rank feeding they dudes cupcakes because they prospects. And mostly all prospects get fed easy opponents, right? But it's how you perform. It's about how you perform. Big Pac-Man says big name or making a name. Well, Pac-Man, it don't have to necessarily be a big name, but I would say it got to be a fighter that has been in our eyes. You feel me? That the whole world has been able to see, because it might be some people that fought off TV behind the scenes that we didn't see, but we didn't get to see them. So, up and coming prospect that everybody got to see, like. You know what I'm saying? We know a Big Baby because they put him in our face time and time again, right? We know a Keyshawn Davis, a David Morrell, Xander Zayas, and guys like that. Frank Martin, you know, he actually about to fight coming up tomorrow. So we know, but let's talk about guys that everybody got to see on a consistent basis. Like I said, Gary Antoine Russell. We probably would be talking about Gary Antoine Russell just taking over 2022 if we had got to see him, but we only got to see him fight once. So he couldn't be a prospect of the year because he only fought once. So yeah. Pac-Man say Brian Norman Jr. had 2 fights on TV this year and had 5 to 7 this, and he said and had 5 to 7 this year. Oh yeah, see, you know what? Brian Norman is a fucking beast. That kid is a problem. But I'm gonna keep it real. I didn't get to see him fight on TV. I think the fight that he was announcing that everybody was expecting him to fight to see on TV on Showtime, on Showbox, I believe it was earlier this year, they took him off the televised. They took him off to the televised show, so I didn't even get to see him. Like when me seeing Brian Norman, I got to go to YouTube. So, and Brian Norman is another fighter like Gary Antoine Russell. If he was out there, right? I think if he was a promoter, if he was with a promotional team like Top Rank, here's the thing with Top Rank. They're going to display their young talent. If Brian Norman Jr. was with Top Rank, we'll be seeing him on all these cards, right? Right there with Big Baby Jared Anderson and Xander Zayas, right? Or Gary Antoine Russell. If he was with Top Rank, we'll get to see him. So that's the thing with these other, and I even got to give it up to DAZN. Eddie Hearn, DAZN, he puts his young prospects on display also. Like we got to see Raymond Ford show out. He's another prospect. You know what I'm saying? Lil Raymond Ford showed out. But these other promoters, they're not putting their talent on display like a Top Rank or DAZN. Jogbe Adonis is not a prospect anymore, and he got his ass beat by the Cuban. He's not a prospect anymore. He got his ass beat by the Cuban. Ajagbe was a prospect a few years ago. He no longer a prospect. He just kind of like ain't really no contender. He's kind of like in the middle of the pack, heavyweight. But yeah, it was a lot that went on in 2021. Hell of a year 2021. What Canelo Alvarez did, right? As far as doing special things in boxing in 2021. I think Canelo did something special, becoming undisputed at 168, whether you like it or not. Who else? Josh Taylor, like we said earlier, he was special. I think Stephen Fulton, he did something special, unifying the titles, getting all 3 belts, and showing out. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But my prospect of the year, as far as prospects, is Big Baby Jared Anderson. Fighter of the year. Who would y'all say overall, out of everybody, who was the fighter of the year in 2021? Who's the fighter of the year, y'all? Let me get y'all comments in the comment section, and I'm shutting the live down. Like I said, we're only going for an hour, so we only got a little bit of time left. We only got about 8 minutes left to cook. Who they not sending out my notifications today like that anyway. So who was the fighter of the year in 2021? My man Pac-Man says Clarissa Shields. Stan92 says Clarissa Shields gotta be the fighter of the year. Bull says Cool Boy Steph. Mark Shu says Usyk. Edgar Robles said Jake Paul. I mean, I guess hey, I guess you could throw him in there if you want to. Mark Shu says Canelo. Y'all got a real good point with Clarissa Shields, because who else became undisputed, right, in the second weight class? And we talking about fighter, right? We didn't say what type of fight. We talking about fighter. If you talk about fighter of the year, Clarissa Shields went to MMA and got a win in MMA too. All the shit is fighting. Yeah, Pac-Man, Cool Boy Steph, what he went out of it, what he went and did against Brandon Figueroa, that shit was amazing. You would have to put Canelo out there too. You got to put Canelo in there too, because let me see. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Cause these years be flying by so fast. I get 2020 and 2021 mixed up a lot. So let me pull up this little box rec to help me out real quick. So now Canelo fought 3 times in 2021. He fought Abney Yildirim, which is some bullshit. That was just a fucking going there and a money grab, right? Right? So you can't really count the Abner Yildirim. That was kind of basically going there fucking and just let me get a quick bag against really a nobody, right? So, but he beat Billy Joe. He put 75,000 in Dallas Stadium. Then he came back and beat Plant. Pay-per-view, and he got undisputed. So you got it don't matter how you feel about Canelo, you have to put him in the fighter of the year conversation. You got to. He put on the biggest fights of the year. No matter what we say, he put on the biggest fights of the year, and he got knockouts in all of them. So you got to put him in the conversation. Clarissa Shields, to me, yeah. Amanda Serrano. Look what Amanda Serrano did. You got to put her in the conversation too. And we're not, on here, and I think my man Pac-Man and a lot of y'all agree with me, we're not finna say, oh, well, you got to put the women with the women and the men with the men. No, we putting them all together. We putting them all together. So you got Clarissa Shields, who became undisputed in her second weight division. Who else has done that? I can't think of nobody else done that. We got Canelo Alvarez that became undisputed, the first ever undisputed at 168 pounds, right? You got my man Stephen Fulton, who went out there and did his thing and became unified 3 belts against a top elite level fighter in Brandon Figueroa, right? In a great fight. You got who else we got? Who else do we got? Pac-Man says Canelo too, but at a certain degree, for real, in my opinion. Yeah, you have to put him in the conversation. You know what I'm saying? You got to take what people got to learn how to do when you talk about this boxing shit is take your biasness out. Take like, okay, well, I don't like fuck this fighter. I don't like him. You got to take that out of the equation and look at the body of work that's being done, right? So yeah, you got to put him in there definitely. Stephen Fulton, you got to put him in there. You have to put Clarissa Shields in there definitely. Amanda Serrano, you got to put her in there. Definitely got to put her in there. Who else? Who else we got? Who am I missing, y'all? Give me some, y'all. Give me some. Who I'm missing? Who I'm missing? Who I'm missing? Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor became undisputed. Josh Taylor. You got to put Josh Taylor in there. You got to put Josh Taylor in there. Look what Josh Taylor did. And then, you know what I'm saying? I know it wasn't all in 2021, but look who he had to run through to get to the final destination, right? In 2021. Look what he had to go through to get to his final destination in 2021. Who else I'm missing? Fighter of the year. Before I give y'all my pick, my man Shamar say Ugas. Ugas, he went out there and he beat Manny Pacquiao. Yeah, he beat, but that's one fight. He beat Manny Pacquiao, but I think, you know, that's only one fight. Josh Taylor only had one fight, but what he did in that one fight, becoming undisputed, to me, you got to definitely put him in there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you spell Ugas right. That's how you spell it. But give me somebody. If I'm missing somebody, give them to me. Give me somebody. I'm trying to think, y'all. Who I'm missing? I know I got to be missing somebody. Um, 817, he said he holds Josh Taylor's undisputed higher than Canelo's. That's a hard one for me, right? Usyk. Thank y'all. David Morrell Jr., the destroyer, and Boyle. Usyk. I mentioned Fulton already. Usyk, yeah, Usyk is definitely one. But to answer 817B what he said, I don't know, because like I said, when y'all looking at Canelo, right? You don't want to give him no credit for Yildirim, of course. Who gonna give him fucking credit for Yildirim? Nah, that don't count. But Billy Joe, I don't really want to give him no credit for Billy, but you gotta give him credit for Caleb Plant. Now, when you say what you said, 817, you can't sit up and not give him credit for beating Caleb Plant and beating Caleb Plant and stopping Caleb Plant how he did. You can't do that. I don't give a fuck what you say. You cannot not give him credit for beating Caleb Plant. So with that being said, then you would have to say, who was the better opposition, Caleb Plant or Jose Ramirez? And to me, Caleb Plant is a better fighter than Jose Ramirez. To me, going out there and beating Caleb Plant was a tougher task than Josh Taylor beating Jose Ramirez. To me. Now, it's close. They both great, you know what I'm saying? Both hell of a fights. But yeah, to me, you gotta give it to Canelo, to me, for beating Caleb Plant. A fighter that is more than one. Caleb Plant bring a lot more to the table than Jose Ramirez. Caleb Plant is a lot slicker than Jose Ramirez, and he got a lot. His arsenal is a lot wider than Jose Ramirez. You probably give Jose Ramirez the pure punching power over Caleb Plant, but everything else Caleb Plant do better. So I would have to say that Canelo. I have to give it to Canelo, and he went out there and he broke Billy Joe's jaw. And we got to think Billy Joe was undefeated, so we can't act like Billy Joe hadn't beat some guys in his career. I don't think that Billy Joe was ever no A-level fighter to me at all. You know what I'm saying? But he was undefeated, and he did beat Billy Joe, even though, I don't give him full credit, but you got to give him some credit for that also. What about Regis Prograis? He fought Regis Prograis. That didn't happen in 2021, my dude. 817 said that he gave him credit for Canelo. He says I feel like the entirety of his 140 undisputed is better than Canelo's. I feel you, and I agree with you 150%. Right? I agree with you 150% when you say that, 817. But we're talking about in 2021, right? We're talking about what they did in 2021. So if we're talking about who had a better road to undisputed and a more devastating road to undisputed between Josh Taylor and Canelo Alvarez, I'm picking Josh Taylor hands down. But we're talking about fighter of the year in 2021, right? And I got to give Canelo, he gets the nod over Josh Taylor to me. Now, my fighter of the year overall, my fighter of the year overall was Clarissa Shields. And the reason I'm giving it to Clarissa Shields over Usyk, because we got to put Usyk in there too. But he only, he had that one fight and he showed out. And he became undisputed. But Usyk would probably be maybe my number 2. Usyk might be there number 2 or number 3. But I'm going to have to give it to Clarissa Shields for the simple fact that she became undisputed in her second weight class. You don't see shit like that going down. On top of that, Clarissa Shields, she went over to MMA, a whole nother sport, right? And she got a win, a come from behind stoppage knockout win in MMA. So Clarissa Shields, she did it all for me. And in 2021, she did this. Clarissa Shields did it all for me. So yeah, I gotta give it to Clarissa Shields. My second fighter of the year would have to go to I'm gonna have to give it to my second fighter of the year. I'm gonna have to give it to it's hard. I'm gonna have to give it to Usyk. Usyk is my second because Usyk, right, after being undisputed at cruiserweight, he came and he also became, well, he was almost undisputed, but he became unified at a whole nother division, at the heavyweight division. And he beat one of the top heavyweights in all of boxing. So I got to give Usyk my second runner-up. He's the runner-up to fighter of the year. In that third slot, I'm going to fuck y'all up in that third slot. I'm going to tell y'all who I'm going to give it to in my third slot. I'm giving it to Amanda Serrano is my third fighter of the year. She come in third. Amanda Serrano comes in third to me. Yeah, Amanda Serrano. Because what she did in women's boxing, along with Clarissa Shields, headlining pay-per-views, giving us exciting fights, showing out and showing that she is dominant in multiple divisions in women's boxing. My third slot is Amanda Serrano, right? Amanda Serrano. Yeah, Amanda Serrano. Yeah, I said it. Amanda Serrano is third. You third. So we got first, I got Clarissa Shields. Second, I got Usyk. Third, I got Amanda Serrano. And my fourth and final slot for fighter of the year, the fourth, right? I'm gonna have to go with Josh Taylor. I would put Jermell Charlo in there, but he didn't get the job done, and Josh Taylor got the job done and became undisputed. I'm gonna do five. I'm gonna do five for y'all. You know what? I'm gonna do five. So my fourth is Josh Taylor. He became undisputed. You dig what I'm saying? At 140 pounds. Only a very few people have done that. And he did it going through a grueling road of fighters. I mean, if we look at the fighters that he fought to do it, the way that he did it, we got to give Josh Taylor his fourth. Now, my fifth and final, my fifth slot, fighter of the year, is Cool Boy Steph. Yeah, Cool Boy Steph. He became unified. He became unified, and in the fashion that he did it, beating Brandon Figueroa in the fight, one of the fight of the year candidates, a fight of the year candidate. Like, we got to give it up to him. You know what? I forgot, man. I slipped up. Let me go back. I gotta change. Let me go back, y'all. I fucked up, y'all. I gotta change my picks around. So I'm gonna give it. My number one is Clarissa Shields. I'm sticking with Clarissa Shields, right? Number two is Usyk. I'm gonna have to give Alexander Usyk my number two fighter of the year, right? Number three is Canelo Alvarez. Yeah, Canelo Alvarez is number three. He became undisputed at 168 pounds. You know what I'm saying? He knocked out everybody he got in the ring with, and then he knocked out undefeated, never had been dropped in his whole entire career, Caleb Plant, to top it all off. Number three is Canelo Alvarez. So we got Clarissa Shields, undisputed. Alexander Usyk, who had already been undisputed at cruiserweight, it became three-belt unified at heavyweight. Canelo Alvarez, first ever undisputed at 168. Yeah. Then, my fourth, we got Amanda Serrano. Opened up whole new doors for women's boxing. Highest payday of any woman ever in women's boxing. Co-main evented pay-per-views and showed the fuck out in several different weight classes. Amanda Serrano is my fourth. And fifth, right, is Josh Taylor. My fifth is Josh Taylor. The road that Josh Taylor took at 140 to top it off in 2021, beating Jose Ramirez, right? The second best fighter at 140 pounds, right? Because they had a tournament. So Regis, I would say Regis, but Regis didn't make it. So yeah, Josh Taylor. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's my top five. That's my top five. You can have your top five. Your top five is your top five. My top five is my top five. So yeah, 2021 was a great year, right? Was a great year of boxing. We had a lot of excitement. Make sure that y'all hit my like button. You know what I'm saying? They didn't send out my notifications today, obviously, but make sure that y'all hit my like button. Let's look forward to a great year in 2022. I appreciate everybody for coming through here and, you know what I'm saying, supporting the channel. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this channel to 10,000 subs. And yeah, I appreciate all y'all for showing love and support. You know, hit my like button before y'all get up out of here. And y'all already know how I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? There you go, talking that boxing again. I appreciate y'all, and I'm gone.